Hey guys, so back at it again, Vanity as with another deck profile. So from now on, when we do deck profiles, they'll be split into two parts: monsters only, and then spells and packs and items. So without further ado, let's get started on one of my favorite decks out of all. Probably my best deck. I don't know what my favorite deck is, but it's probably gonna be this one eventually. Dragon World Sun Dragons. So the buddy I have here is Shining Sun Dragon Ball Dragon. So for the record, I would make it the original Ball Dragon, but I only own 3 copies of Ball Dragon and 4 copies of this thing. So I'm running this because I have to. Otherwise, this thing wouldn't even be here. So he's almost like Ball, but better in a way. So he's pay a gauge per top card and deck in the soul to call him. Still size 2 with 3k power, 3k defense with a critical of 2. So if you ever need a wall, you can just use that boy. He has Soul Guard and Penetrate, so he's similar to Ball. And when he attacks, he does the same thing as Ball, get plus 5k power, so he becomes a 8k to crit with Penetrate. Along with at the beginning of your final phase, get a gauge. This is good and bad because impact monsters cost somewhat gauge, and you're kind of refilling his call cost basically on the first turn, but his stats are worse than Ball's, but I run him because I have to. Otherwise, the original Ball would be here right now. But he still is a good card. So now on to our size zeros for the first start. Our first size zero, Flare Fang SD. So, size 0, 2k power, 1k defense with a critical of 1. He can't be called to the center. Now, this is okay for some reasons, and why it's not okay for certain reasons. One, you can't use it as walls, so you can't go center, block off attacks, but he works with Ball Soleil, like that size 3 that's overpowered. He works with that. If your opponent has no mobs in the center, he permanently gains 3k. So if your opponent doesn't have something in their center, this thing becomes a 5-1-1, which is with a size 0, which is pretty dang good, I gotta admit. And during your turn, when a monster on the opponent's field is destroyed, you get to draw one. This is a once per turn effect. So with this deck, if you do not destroy your opponent's card during the turn, it's either your opponent's cheating by some magic, or they have just a bunch of shields and preventing your cards from preventing their cards from dying. But otherwise, you're gonna pull off this skill, which is really good. And there have been times where, due to a certain little combo that if I remember, I'll show you guys later, where I was essentially gaining 2 gauge. No, I was essentially getting 3 gauge, 3 life, and drawing 1 the second that my opponent's monster died, which was pretty awesome. I only run 1 because I only own 1. Otherwise, this boy would probably be at like a 4 of or 3 of. I say, in my opinion, best out of 3, not out of 4. But if you need filler space or you're running the Boss Slave variant, which I am not because I don't own Boss Slave, unfortunately, run him at 4 if it's that variant. If you're running it and this variant, when I'm going to show you, you probably want to run it at 3. Our next size 0 that we have 3 copies of, Blade SD. So, what he does, this is part of the combo with Flare Fang SD over here. So here's what Blade SD does. Once per turn, when a monster on the opponent's field is destroyed, you gain 1 gauge and 1 life. So, and the ability is called Blade for the record. So, he's a 3-1-1, size 0. Pretty good. When their monster dies, if you have Blade and Flare Fang on the field, you could either gain a gauge and a life first and then draw 1, or you could draw 1, gain a gauge and a life off of that. So whatever order you want, basically. It's a really good combo. I run him at 3 because I run him at 3 because even though there aren't that many size 3s in the deck, in fact, I don't even think there are. I think there might be. Yeah, there are 2 size 3s in the deck, but I run him at 3 not because of the size 3 part. I run him at 3 because this deck does have a lot of gauge cost, and he refills that for me. And there have been countless times where actually gaining those extra lives have saved me. Like one time against Thunder Empire, they almost killed me, but Blade SD somehow saved me. So thank you, Blade SD. I run him at 3 because I can. Even if I had more, I would still run him at 3. So yeah, Run him at 3 people. Our last size 0, the size 0 that's also a part of the 3-card combo, aka all of them are size 0s, for record. Balls Soleil Imagine. As you see, I have the special foiled shiny boy. So, he is, at the end of the battle that he attacked, move him to the soul of a Sun Dragon on your monster on the field. And at the end of the battle that the Sun Dragon with this card in its soul attacks, you gain 1 gauge and 1 life. He has 2k power, 2k defense, and a critical of 1 and is a size 0. I will always run this boy at 4, okay, people? Run him at 4 like I am, because he, along with these boys, give you, like, for example, let's say you have Flare Fang SD on the right, on the left, Mirror Blade SD in the center, and then, shoot, okay, I'm sorry, crap, I screwed up. So, yeah, so Flare Fang SD on the right, on the left, Balls Soleil Imagine on the left and right, and what you do is that they attack skill, they move them both into Flare Fang's soul, and when he kills a monster, you will now gain 2 gauge and 2 life, and you get to draw 1. It's a pretty good effect, and I gotta admit, it actually has done some really good damage to my opponent. I almost one-turned my opponent with that, and as I was playing Thunder Empire with that, even though I almost one-turned them, they made an epic comeback, and even though they failed, it was because of this thing that I stayed alive. So that beautiful combo right there. Always run Imagine at 4 people. Always. So that was it for size 0s. Now it's time for our size 1s. Our first size 1 will be Bright Hammer Dragon. He is 2k power, 1k defense, critical of 2, penetrate. Don't run him unless you need filler space. I run him because I need filler space. Otherwise, this boy wouldn't be here right now. Diss him. He doesn't deserve liking. So, Mirror Blade Dragon. 3k power, 1k defense with a critical of 2. If your opponent doesn't have a monster on the sound of this thing, it's +1 crit. Okay, like I said in the fight between Thunder Empire and this thing, this deck is mixed between cards that focus on link attacking and then cards that get benefits from your opponent doesn't have a monster in the center. This is that. It's good because it gives you 3 crit. Its stats are horrible, but it's 3 crit and it's better than this thing. Run this thing. If I had more copies of this, Bright Hammer wouldn't be here right now, but unfortunately I only have 2. Run him, please. Next up is Maravolt Dragon. So, he's one of the link attack cards. 5k power, 1k defense with 1 crit. Once per turn, when a link attacks with a card in your field, get a gauge, restand him. Now, even though I don't have the combo with me, remember that, like, really overpowered original Dragon Force where every single time you link attack, restand it? Link attack with Maravolt. Skill, get a gauge. Restand Maravolt, restand your item. Link attack again, restand the item. Link attack with something. Link attack with the other Maravolt. Get a gauge, restand the Maravolt and the item. Do it again. Call Final Phase. Call the Ball Dragon that I will eventually show you guys later, and you get to spam them. Run him at more than 2, to be fair. I'd probably run this thing at 4 if I had more and just cut down Bright Hammer and leave Mirror Blade at 2. Just do that, okay? Always run Maravolt at 4. I only run 2 because I only have 2. Our last size 1, the regular Flare Fang Dragon. So he is on place, Flare Gift, which is his ability. Once per turn, when he's placed, if you have another Sun Dragon card on the field, aka your items, count 2 people, and the set spell that is really annoying but doesn't really do anything. When he's placed, if you have another Sun Dragon on the field, get a gauge, draw 1, once per turn effect. Good. Always run this boy at 4 because he actually gives you resources. There have been a lot of times where that gauge I've actually been able to stack, and then I've been able to use the impact monster that continuously restands him, and I would have had the Dragon Force that activates ability when Link attacks and stand itself back up. I would essentially be able to do infinite amount of attacks because of this deck. This deck is like a god of gauge engines. That was it for our size 1s. Now on to the size 2s. First one, Sun Deity's Fragment Ball Dragon. Try reading this, YouTube. So, it has 5k power, 3k defense with a critical of 2. Size 2. When it enters the field, you may pay a life. If you do, you can add 1 card of Balls Soleil from your deck into your hand. always run him in any Sun Dragon deck because you will always run a Ball Soleil, whether it's the impact monster like I run, or it will be or the regular one. Always run him at 4. Some people have even made him his buddy. I don't really like him as my buddy. So he is. He also has the ability where if it's in the soul of a Sun Dragon, it gets penetrate. Yeah, that's good. Like you see, you search your deck for a ball. A funny little play with this is that the new Dragon Force, along with the original Ball Soleil, you could call this boy down, pay a life, get out Ball Soleil from your deck, evolve this boy into Ball Soleil, because the new Dragon Force, all you have to do is essentially have a Ball Soleil in the field, equip the Dragon Force, boom, now you have a Ball Soleil with Penetrate, the ability to nuke a monster on the opponent's center, and an item that's overpowered as hell. I run him at 1, mostly because I don't have any more. In my opinion, in this deck, run him no more than 2, but in any other deck that is highly reliant on getting Ball Soleil out of your deck, run this boy at 4, if not your buddy. Our next size 2, Giant Flare. Once more, filler space, but he works in a combo with Marrowblade and Marrowblade SD along with Flare Fang SD because, 1, those cards aren't destroyed by battle, and 2, he's pay a gauge to call, and when he's called, nuke a monster in the center. If you have Flare Fang and Marrowblade, both of the SD versions out, you essentially get a gauge back and a life, and you draw one. So essentially you caught this thing for free, nuked their center, and then you get to draw one and then gain a life. Beautiful, and also Marrowblade too, but I don't really like him that much. I put him in here for filler space, but he still works as a good combo card. The card that should have been my buddy, Dragon of the Sun, Ball Dragon. So, all of you should know what he does, but just in case, 5k power, 3k defense with a critical of 2, size 2. Pay a gauge to call him. When he attacks, he gets plus 5k, and he has Penetrate. Pretty much it. Yeah, he should have been my buddy. I wanted him to be my buddy, but I'm stuck with this piece of crap. So, now on to the last size 2. The piece of crap. You all know what he does. I'm not going to repeat what he does again. I run Ball Soleil. I run the original ball at 3 because I only have 3 copies. I run this thing at 3 because the 4th copy is the buddy, so run the original Ball Dragon over this boy as your buddy. Still run him, just make the original Ball Dragon your buddy. People will respect you more. Please, don't make me mad. Okay, now on to the impact monsters because I can. Ball Dragon, Ball, Grand Strike, size 2, 7k power, 3 crit, 5k defense. Pay 2 gauge, put a Sun Dragon from your field into your gauge. It has to be a Sun Dragon monster, by the way, so don't think equipping an item that has Sun Dragon's attribute will save you. Penetrate. That's all he does, penetrate. Don't run him unless you need filler space like I do, okay? I run him because of filler space. Otherwise, this boy wouldn't be here right now. And I have more copies of him, but I decided to run the shiny because I like the shiny. Our next impact monster, the thing I was talking about earlier, the pay a gauge, restand him. If you have a Sun Dragon item equipped, the thing that can make infinite attacks with the restanding Dragon Force. Ball Dragon, Ball Saucer, Overrush. 11k power, 6k defense, critical 1 with Penetrate. Call cost, put a Sun Dragon monster from your field into your drop zone and pay 2 gauge. Counter. If you have a Sun Dragon item equipped, pay a gauge, stand him. Remember that link attack combo I just told you about earlier with Marival and then the item and then impact calling this boy with basically an infinite amount of gauge just re-attacking over and over and over again until your opponent dies from eventual suffering. Yeah. Don't run him at more than 1 really because you can search your deck for this boy because there actually are cards that can search your deck for him, so. And plus, the draw engine is really good, so you don't really need to actually, you don't really need to run more than 1 copy of all these impact monsters. Except for 1, and I'll show you who it is after this. So, Ball Soleil, Eternal Ball Blaster, our first size 3, 10k power, 3 crit, 10k defense. I like to call him Mr. Infinite Attacker. Mr. Infinite Crit. His call cost is put a monster with Ball Soleil or Ball Dragon from your field into your drop zone and pay 3 gauge. If you have an item with release condition equipped, aka any Dragon Force that exists, this card's attack cannot be nullified whether it's link attacking or not. Yeah, try me. I have an item with release condition equipped, attack for 3. You can't nullify, you can only reduce. Sucker. So his other ability is during the turn that he entered with